Joy, happiness. How do you understand it? For most people, it's about either having things or becoming something. Either having, for a child, my grandson who I was with yesterday, getting a truck to play with. That's joy. For an adult, it might be not a plastic truck, but a Ram truck. Not a Ram for the altar either. Right? That's what brings joy and happiness. For others, it's their achievement, what they achieve in life, that they've accomplished, whether they're an accomplished musician, or whether they're an accomplished businessman, or a community leader. Those are the things that bring joy. Of course, what's the problem with all of that? Stay tuned and we'll find out. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zuch and Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We begin today, chapter 31. We have been dealing with the inner life of the Beinoni, and all of us, BITs, Beinoni in training, where we are sometimes finding ourselves dullness of heart, or a place where we're not able to pick ourselves up in a manner that we have a strong passion in the service of God. A love and awe that is the way we need, and the joy that is necessary. So sometimes what you need to do is you got to deal with your stuff, right? Face your stuff rather than stuff your face. As we've been learning at great length, chapters 29 and 30. Mivachin, which means to actually to crush the log, in order that a huge log you put into a fire, it will not take. Only when you cut up that log will the log now be taken by the fire and burnt up. So we all have a burning desire to connect to Hashem. But sometimes the log, the body, is just too big and its desires are too strong. So we got to chop it up. And that's what we spoke about at great length. Because the heart is a stone of heart that doesn't feel the passion of a mitzvah, the passion and the connection and davening and the mitzvahs that we do. And then we took it to another level, Shval Ruach, in chapter 30, which we just finished. That the Beinoni has a sense, as it says in Pirkei Avos, in the Ethics of Our Fathers, that we are lower than any other person. The Beinoni, who has complete mastery over thought, speech, and action, has a sense, a feeling, a realization, a truth, not the makeup, but really sensing lower than any other person. Even the Kal Shebekalim, even that simpleton, that coarse individual who is uncouth and yet feels lesser than that. As we learned, inadvertent sins of those who are more evolved in the eyes of God is considered as a deliberate sin, as opposed to the uncouth, the coarse individual. Their deliberate sins are considered inadvertent. It's powerful, right? It's like the child who says, some kind of statement, some kind of words that are, but we all smile and laugh at it because it's a kid who said it. If adults said it, we're very judgmental. Why? Because you expect more from the adult and you don't expect that from the child. So the deliberate sin of that child is inadvertent. The inadvertent sin of the adult is deliberate, relatively speaking. Now, says the Alter Rebbe in chapter 31 that when we dwell along at length at this, everything that we just mentioned, to be lowly of spirit and contrite of heart, This can lead a person to what we call Atus, a profound depression. Don't be perturbed. Now, this is only a person, remember, who is not learning Tanya, but living it. So it means all 28 chapters before they came to chapter 29 and then 30, they're living it. If you're living it till then you can introduce that into your life. And as I said, don't try this at home without, rabbinic supervision. Right? So this will lead to a profound depression. Don't be perturbed. Why? Because this, what we call Atus, right, which is not joy, it's okay, because you're facing your stuff. You're dealing with your issues. It's from the realm of klipas noiga. It's not holiness, but there is something good there. Right? It's not holiness. That's very important. Even says don't be perturbed, but don't think that it's holiness, because what's holiness? Ois vechedva bimkoimei, the verse says. Ois means strength, confidence, assurity, and joy. That's holiness, which we're going to get there. We're going to get there shortly. But very important that we understand that a holy disposition is only when there's inner strength, when there's a sense of confidence, when there's a sense of gladness of heart and joy. That's the only time. That's holiness. Right? Nonetheless, in order to deal with the negativity inside that we have, right, we need to humble the sitra acher, right, the negativity that we have in us. We have to do that. How do you do that? How do you fight fire? As the old saying goes, you fight fire with fire. In other words, how do you fell the forest? How do you fell the forest?
Burn it down?
No. No. With an axe. You chop it down. Chop down the forest. You hear the song once? No. Chop it down. Huh? I'm not reggae. You got to chop down the forest. How do you chop down the forest? With the forest. How so? How do you make an axe? From the wood of the tree. So you chop down with the thing that you're chopping down. You fell the forest with the forest. It's with the source of the forest. You chop down you with that negativity. In other words, you fight negativity with negativity. Right? In other words, being contrite of heart, remorseful, sensing your remoteness from God. That's the term of Atus. Right? Why? Because if a person has got a heart that's of stone and isn't feeling the connection to Hashem, is feeling the desires, the lusts that we have of our heart, and so on, so you've got to fell that. You've got to chop it down. So therefore, you're fighting it with that negativity. Right? Says the Alter Rebbe, he now says, however, that's only the sadness. That sadness should be for a brief moment. You know what it needs to turn into? Bitterness. Bitterness, God forbid, is never towards another person. If it is, that's coming from a bad place.
Bitterness from depression?
No. Being down is klipas noiga. When you're down to fell the negativity of you, that's not holiness. The Alter Rebbe said, right? That's not holiness, but it is klipas noiga. There's some good there because you're trying to fight the negativity in you, right? So you're feeling down on your negativity. Fine. However, it needs not to stay there. It needs to transfer to bitterness. Bitterness, says the Alter Rebbe, is actually a holy trait when it's used against your negativity. If it's used against someone else's negativity, you know that that's coming from a bad place. If you have bitterness towards others, then you know you're in a bad space. But you're having it towards your own negativity in order to be contrite of heart, in order to change something. Bitterness enables you to turn on a dime, right? when you say this, oh, how foolish and stupid that was, what I did. That's a sense of bitterness. That's coming from gvura. Gvura, right? Stern judgment towards ourselves, being severe on ourselves. Actually, will sweeten, it touches the root source of where the negativity comes from, and will sweeten in its source. And that's why our sages say in the Talmud, one should always incite the good inclination to anger against the evil inclination, to be bitter against your negativity, because that will then be able to change something in you. Now, when should you be bitter at yourself? At an appointed time. Don't do it because when you're just down and out, because then it's not gonna work. It's got to be at a time where you could take an opportune time where you kind of, okay, I'm going to deal with this, but in a cool mind, in a proper setting where you're not like, it's not controlling you, you're in control of it. Okay, that's important.
Mm-hmm.
That's important, right? And this will also then get rid of the sadness and the depression. It'll get rid of that. Bitterness gets rid of that. Again, very important that we're following the precision of what the Alter Rebbe is saying over here. Very important. Because when we mix it with some other notion, we're off the mark and we could be very, Now, this is wonderful, but what needs to come now? We have to come to a place of holiness. That's strength and gladness and joy of heart, right? This is now the Alter Rebbe will bring you to true joy, a double measure of joy. Why? What's double? What's double?
You pulled yourself up and out.
No, because you dealt with your stuff, and now you're going to a place of joy. You dealt. Just dealing with your issues, your things, your negativity, that itself, that you did deal with it, that should bring joy. After the dealings, right?
Mm-hmm.
That should bring joy. Mm-hmm. So that's a double measure. Now, but it's not enough just that you dealt with it. It says, indeed, without a doubt, that I am removed from God. As a matter of fact, I can even be despicable. But that's only my body and my animal soul. That's only my body and my animal soul. But yet, inside of me, I have a piece of God. I have a chelik elokah mimal mamish. The Alter Rebbe adds the word mamish. Mamish means, you know what mamish means? It means mamish. It means mamish. Mamash, yeah. Thanks for the translation. Huh? Old French. Very old French. Right, very old French. Right. In other words, I have a piece of God in me. And not just me, but every Jew has that. Has a piece of God in them. That piece of God that's in divine, it's in exile. Meaning, because of my body, that log that isn't able to take the fire, right? And now I've dealt with it, so now I've chopped it up. Now it can take, right? It's been in exile, and therefore that makes me removed from God. But my godly soul in exile is still a godly soul. It didn't change. It just isn't exercising its independence and its rightful place and its capability, right? So therefore, what am I going to do? I'm going to focus my entire aim and my complete desire to extricate my divine soul from its imprisonment and return it to its father. The soul is feminine. Neshama is a feminine word, right? As it's a part of God. God is that masculine that gives, and we're the recipient of it, right? So we're the feminine part, right? So therefore, I'm going to return it completely to be absorbed and united and one with God. And how's it going to be absorbed and completely? How's it going to happen? How am I going to do that? How am I going to do that?
Break down the log?
No, we did that already. We're finished with that. Come on. We finished with that.
Yeah.
Let's move on already. How am I going to do that?
What's the question?
How am I going to be absorbed in the light of God and united with God? That's what I'm going to concentrate all my aspirations on. Torah and mitzvahs, especially when it comes to mitzvah prayer, to daven. I'm going to release my divine soul because it's crying out to God out of distress of being in exile in the body, that the body is covering it up. And I'm going to release it from its captivity and to bind it. Right? And this is the idea of doing tshuva, to do repentance with good deeds. Right? Because my intent, in other words, the point is I'm thinking, and my whole intent is, and what I'm doing is I'm returning my soul that is a part of God, that has been in exile, and now I am reconnecting it, revealing it, taking it, returning to its father's house, returning her. What a joy that is.
Yeah, going home.
Right? Going home. What a joy it is for the father that now has its child back. Therefore, that's going to be my lifelong aim, to serve God with great joy, the joy of the soul that's leaving the body. What just think, imagine you're in prison. You are the king's child, and you're in prison doing horrific, loathsome, low-life work. Right? That's what the body is getting you to do. And now you've been extricated by that. How? Because you did a mitzvah. Right now you're learning Torah. Your soul is being extricated from its imprisonment. You're returning, you're the child that's of God. You're returning it to God. What a joy God's having. Wow. That's in when we study Torah, when we daven. Right? And that's the idea in tshuva. That's the concept of tshuva that we do throughout our lives. Because tshuva means to return. Who's returning? My soul that's in exile is being returned. Surely, says the Alter Rebbe, there's no great joy than being released from exile and captivity, comparable to the joy of a prince who's been taken captive, doing the harsh labor, and filled with filth, now goes free to the house of the father, the king. Wow. That's what's happening to us right now.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Now, it's true, the body remains still an abomination. Abomination, not that the body, the physical body, its desire is, its agenda is of the body, right? The body just wants, wants pleasure and just wants its own, So that animal soul, right? Until you transform it to good, which righteous people do, right? But we don't. Let's not fool ourselves. We're not. We're still going to want a nice meal. We're still going to want, the pleasure of sitting on the couch and just, vegging and, letting the mind just, whatever, and so on and so forth, right? However, even though that's a reality of us, right? Because even when the Beinoni still has an animal soul and a body, yet the divine soul is more precious to him than the body. And that's what he rejoices in, the liberation that every time you do a mitzvah, you are liberating your soul. So therefore, and you're not allowing the body to interfere, to disturb the joy of the soul. This is breaking free, and this is analogous to the Exodus from Egypt. The Jews told Pharaoh that when they left Egypt, they only wanted 3 days. What is it? Well, if you recall, Moshe said, let us go for 3 days. What do you mean? First of all, they wanted to go for good, right? And what does it mean? To only go for 3 days.
3 days to make sacrifice.
Yeah, but was that the point? Or were they going to go for good?
Good.
Okay, so was it just a trick?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No, God forbid. You can't say that. Moshe Rabbeinu is not playing games. You don't play tricks with anybody, not even Pharaoh. Moshe Rabbeinu was not lying. He wasn't lying. Right? and so why couldn't he have just said, let my people go? In the end, you let them go, right? Well, you're letting them go only for right? He was forced to let them go.
Yeah, because you're dealing with someone like a corrupt like Pharaoh. You cannot tell him your plans.
I'm sorry, that works maybe in other places, but not with a holy man like Rabbi. No. He's coming to say the words of God. He's not coming to say his own, he wasn't coming saying his own stuff, right? So that means it's coming from God. On the metaphoric level, we can understand. Pare is the embodiment of the most evil thing there is. In our lives, what is that? Our body, right? Its agenda is self-centered. It's only looking for its own pleasure and its own personal joy, right? That's the para, that's our Egypt. That's our Egypt, right? That's our confinement, that's our restraint, that's our imprisonment, right? Paro can't the body can't let you go. Remember, they not became righteous. When could Paro let you go? Only when he becomes transformed and he himself becomes part of he himself becomes holy. When, like a tzaddik, when he goes, right? So when Mashiach will come, we will go out that way. But Paro can't let you go because he still has his agenda. So therefore, you couldn't ask, let me go for good. Right? Couldn't ask that because he can't let you go.
Just like our body can't.
Just like our body can't let us go, except we don't let the body rule. We're now focused on our soul and letting our soul rule. So when leaving Egypt, we did not become righteous. You still had the evil, therefore that's why we had to run, because you have to run from evil, right? So they had to run and get out, and that's why the dough didn't rise. But part of the evil itself can't let you out. It's not the source of letting you out. Your soul is the one that is, right, is letting you out, not your body. So Paro can't let you out. So therefore he can let you go for 3 days, maybe. Okay, do a mitzvah, because in the end I'm going to get you back. Right?
So I understand that the soul and the body separate themselves?
What do you mean?
Makes sense?
What do you mean?
The body's
Is your soul your body? Is your body your soul? They are coinciding as one. Where's the soul begin? Where's the body begin? They're inseparably together,
Yeah,
right? But they are two different entities,
yeah.
right?
So
Yeah.
the soul goes away for 7 days and the body goes away for 3 days.
No, it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. You're taking it so you're taking it literally. You're taking it literally.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're taking it literally.
Yeah. No, the soul goes away, the body stays.
No. Who's dominating? Who's in control here? Who's in control? Your soul or your body is what we're talking about. You're still the same person, right? The point is, even when you focus in on doing the mitzvah, you still got a body there that has its agenda, right? You're just not in prison in that moment. But it's still coming after you. So that's why you got to run out of Egypt. That's why Paro can't let you out. Your body's not letting you out. Your body will confine you and constrict you forever. So it can't let you out. So it's a hoax. It can let you out for 3 days because I'll get you on the back end. I'll get you. That's what the body does. It's be holy for a bit. So so that you could be. But it's coming from the body holiness. It's not real holiness. Act holy, but don't be holy, right? So that way, I'm going to get you and become even more of an evil. But that's for another time, not for now. Okay? Yes,
What
Liv.
was in Moshe's own idea that to leave permanently in Egypt? Just to tell-
Of course, it's to leave permanently. Of course, but to speak to Paro, Paro can't let you go out permanently. He's not. He's not. He's the embodiment of the body. He's the embodiment of evil. Your body will never allow that, right? Your body won't allow you to. Your body will always be seeking pleasure. Your body will always be seeking its self-fulfillment. It's not seeking God, right? Unless you're righteous. But when the Jews left Egypt, they weren't righteous. That's why they had to run out. Does that make sense? right?
So you have to do Chua.
Yeah, but that's, anyway, yeah. That's part of tshuva we're talking about here. What's tshuva? Tshuva is that you're focusing in on your godly soul, right? The power's not sending you out. Your body's not sending you out. It's you focusing in on your neshama. That's what's sending you out. So after you've gone out, now I can send myself out because I'm focused on my neshama. Okay? So, now, so you might say, well, okay, I'm focused, but I still have this abominable agenda-driven, self-directed body. So Beinoni, this is all the thought process going in the Beinoni, right? So, and us, B-I-T, Beinoni in training. Says, yeah, you're right. But you know what? I didn't create that in me. God did that. Right? The fact that I have, and I have this drive in me of the body that wants to bring me down and imprison me, right? God did that. So God brought me this descent of my lofty soul that was on high and put it into this body over here that has this agenda. That's God's doing. I'm not at fault over here. I'm only at fault if I listen to it, right? But the actual fact of the matter, I'm not. That God did that. Why did he do that? Because from the greater the descent is, will be greater the ascent.
Vice versa.
Yeah, okay, we're only talking about direction. We're learning Tanya here. We're not learning, about being evil.
I was taught to hire the soul.
No, follow, just baggage at the door.
Yeah. So far, so good.
Let's learn what we're learning and not anything else.
No.
Okay? So this is, I'm here to elevate. What am I to elevate then? What am I elevating? What is the ascent over here?
Your divine soul.
No, that already was ascended.
Are you turning your animal soul into something holy?
Yeah. How so? Because my animal soul is what animates my body, right? Well, I'm speaking right now, Tanya. And for me to speak Tanya, or to act and put on my tefillin, I have to have my animating soul that's involved in it. Because my body's involved in it. My divine soul is not giving the life force to my body.
Yeah.
My animal soul is. So now when I'm putting on tefillin, or I'm giving tzedakah, or I'm using my mouth to speak, what's engaged is my animal soul, and my body, it's elevated through the mitzvah too. Wow. That's an ascent. Otherwise, if it wasn't, let the soul stay upstairs. What's it have to come down over here and deal with a loathsome agenda of a body that just wants to be a comfort creature and to enjoy life? What was it needed for? So it's coming here, the descent, to have a greater ascent. Just, that's all we're saying. Nothing more.
I hear you.
Yeah, you hear the Alter Rebbe, don't hear the Alter Rebbe. And that's going to be through machshava, dibur, u'maaseh, through your thoughts, through your words, and through your actions. That when you do a mitzvah, this is what's going to happen. You will ascend together with your divine soul, together with your animal soul and body. Now it's going a little kicking. That's true, because, the body's kicking a bit. I want to now have fun. I want my pleasure. But you know what? At a certain point, it's going to come. It's not going to kick so strong, right? What? Right. And you will have a gladdened heart. Why? Because you did God's commandments. This is what's going to happen. Wow. That was a short version of chapter 31. Any questions before we move on?
amazing how condense it.
We didn't finish. Galise has a question. Okay. Is there a question mark? Ah, yes. Why is one's bitterness against another's negativity towards them not a good thing? I mean, oops. Oops. What happened here? Sure, I got that. I mean, negative versus trying to lead you righteously. Galise, I'm not clear what you mean. Negativity to another person's negativity? Whatever, that we have to be careful with. You know, if we're being negative to another, because it usually comes from a bad place. Chassidim say you have to cut your nails before you use them, because usually you claw at someone, and it's your insecurities and it's your stuff inside, and it's just a reflection of your negativity that when you are bitter towards another. Bitter? Mean to be upset with someone, or not even upset is, whatever. We've learned a bit of that in the past, but yeah, this is, no, the bitterness is only towards yourself. In this instance over here. Okay.